Hi, welcome. All right, this is your prenatal full body strength training workout. A few things that I want to touch on. Make sure that you have water nearby. You want to have a couple of options when it comes to weights. So if you have dumbbells at home, please grab a lighter set and a heavier set. For me, I have 10-pound weights and 5-pound weights. If you do not have dumbbells, it's totally fine. Grab some canned goods, that will work just as well, or you can just use your body weight. This movement will be hard enough and certainly challenge your body. So the dumbbells are in a way optional if you do not have any. Make sure you have a mat, something grippy that you can step on. I am barefoot. I prefer to work out barefoot, but you are welcome to grab socks and shoes. Just don't work out in socks because they're too slippery and we don't want to risk any falls. A couple of other things. Depending on how far along you are in your pregnancy, first in trimester, most of these movements should be totally fine. If you are in your third trimester, or if you have any sort of tendency to feel dizzy or lightheaded, please focus a lot on keeping your head above your heart, and any overhead arm reaches might feel like a little too much, so please modify accordingly. Always check with your doctor before doing any sort of exercise program, and let's have some fun. Okay, so we are going to start with just a gentle warm-up. So beginning on your mat, you're just going to take about 15 squats on your own time. So I want my feet hip-width distance apart. My weight is slightly back in my heels. I'm not locking my legs. I'm tilting my pelvis slightly up, and my chest is lifted, but I'm not expanding my rib cage. So I'm engaging my core, my belly, lifting up through my pelvic floor. Take an inhale, reach your arms forward, sink your weight back into your heels. Exhale, rise up. Just like that. I'll try to keep my breathing a little bit quieter so it's not too much for you. But when you are by yourself, please focus on your breath. Really utilize your breath here. So if you're looking at me from the side, my weight is back in my heels. I'm sitting my booty way back and then rising up. So when I lift up, I'm engaging my quads, I'm using my glutes, I'm engaging my core and my pelvic floor. We'll do 5 more. Inhale, sink down. Exhale, lift. Awesome, you guys. Last 2. Last 1. Good. And then from here, roll out your ankles. Flip your toes over. Good. And then we'll take some heel raises and toe raises. So you're rocking back on your heels and then up on your heels. Good. Just warming up our legs, our ankles, coming into our body. Good. Take about 5 more of those. And then from here, take some shoulder rolls up, back, and down. Inhale, exhale, soften your shoulders down your back. When you are working out and you're pregnant, your body is going through a lot. So just remember, you're growing a beautiful human inside of your body. Go ahead and switch directions. Sorry, I didn't cue that earlier. So you're doing a lot already. So this is so good for when baby does come and you have all of these things going on, picking the baby up, picking other objects up, being able to hinge forward, reaching, keeping that strong core, maintaining a good posture when you're nursing, if you nurse. All of these things are really important to keep in mind. That's why we do this functional movement during pregnancy, so that you can prepare accordingly and that you feel good postpartum, which is also a very special and important time. Okay, so from here, go ahead and take some lunge pulses. So I'm gonna walk forward a little bit, take my foot back, and just take tiny little pulses. So if you're looking at me from the side, I'm keeping a 90-degree angle with my front leg, and I'm drawing my navel in, lifting up through my pelvic floor. Take about 8 more on this side. I'm just spiraling my palms to face forward. And then switch. Stepping my other leg back. Coming back to your breath here, just tiny little pulses. Engage your glute, your left glute, especially if you're on your left side. Last 3, 2, 1, and then come back. And then from here, straddle your mat so that your toes are rotated off of your mat, your heels are still on your mat. Sink your hips low, good. And then we'll just sway side to side and take a little bit of an arm reach. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower. Good. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. Good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and floss our spine before we start. And what that means is that we're getting into our posterior chain back here. So walk your feet out to hip width distance, reach your arms out into a big T shape, and just keep your chest lifted. Rotate your palms to face up to the sky. Notice how that changes your posture. You might want to open up your ribs. I encourage you to knit your rib cage together, and then rotate your palms to face the back of the room. Still keeping a nice tall spine, weights back in your heels. Inhale, rotate up. Exhale, rotate back. Good, 2 more like that. 1 more, inhale. Exhale, rotate. Good. Take a few shoulder rolls and then roll your head from side to side, just opening up your neck, softening your jaw. So when you're pregnant, you have something called relaxin, which is a hormone, and that is heightened during your pregnancy, and it creates a little bit more looseness in your body. So some women get a little bit more clumsy. When you're stretching, when you're moving your body, you might notice that you're more flexible. That is thanks to relaxin. Please keep in mind, however, that you don't want to overdo it. The point is not to stretch or go as deep and hard as you may normally, or that you're trying to overexert yourself. We really want to be mindful of our joints and our form during all of our movements. So I'll be sure to cue that, but please keep that in mind. The goal is not to stretch until you can't stretch any further, or go as deep in your lunge as you might normally. So please listen to your body, do not overdo it. And we will start with our dumbbells. Grabbing 1 dumbbell, again, weights are optional here. Bringing your hands around your dumbbell like so, and bring your dumbbell into your chest. So I'm using a 10-pound weight. You are welcome to use a 5 or a can if that works for you. So starting with squats, rock your weight back into your heels, wiggle your toes, take an inhale. Exhale, sink your weight down and back. So I'm gonna keep my weight at my chest. If you want to take an overhead press, if that feels good in your body, you can. Just keep in mind that stretches out your abdominal wall. So depending on how far along you are, that might not feel very comfortable. So again, listen to your body and don't overdo it. We'll do 20. So we already did 1, we're at 19. And you don't have to go super low. I'm trying to go low to engage my glutes. I don't have a belly, so I can do that. If you're really far along, maybe this is where you land, keeping your weight in your heels. We're about halfway there. Good. Let's do 5 more. Last 5. You're here for 4. Take it low for 3, if you can, for 2. Last 1. All right, and then from here, grab your other dumbbell. I have 2 10-pound weights. You can do whatever feels good to you. We're gonna take a deadlift. So feet hip width distance apart. My weight is back in my heels like so. I'm gonna rotate my palms to face my thighs. Roll my shoulders up, back, and down. From here, I'm gonna keep a really tall, long spine as I paint my legs with my weights. Softening my knees as I go. I'm gonna go just below my knees. I'm not trying to touch the ground. I'm keeping a tall spine. My chest is lifted. My head is above my heart. Take an inhale. Exhale, rise up. Take a bicep curl. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, bicep curl. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Take your time here. Good. Stick your booty way, way back, like you're closing a car door with your butt and your hands are full. And you don't want to be swinging your weights up. It's a very controlled movement. So if you're swinging, that probably means your weights are a little too heavy and you just need to take it down to a lighter weight or just do body weight. We're over the halfway mark. Make sure you're breathing. Lift up through your pelvic floor. You're doing an awesome, awesome job. Last 5. You're here for 4. Just 3 more to go. Last 2. Last 1. And release. Okay, so we're gonna go through that 2 more times, that same exercise. So starting with our weighted squat, option to overhead press. You also have the option to use a chair. So make sure your chair is positioned all the way against the wall so that it's not sliding back. You can bring your weight into your chest, walk away from the chair so that when you sit down, you sit down completely on the chair. You're not at any risk of falling, but it takes a little bit of work to get there. So inhale, lower down, exhale, stand up. Option to take an overhead press, depending on how far along you are. Also option to do it without the chair, which I will do because it's a little squeaky. All right. This time, because I'm feeling good, I'm gonna add that overhead press, but again, I'm not swinging my arm back. This is really nice and controlled. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. We're at the halfway mark. You're doing great. Heart is lifted, pelvic floor is engaged. Last 3. You're here for 2 and 1. Awesome. Good, grab your other dumbbell, your other weight, and walk your feet to hip width. Roll your shoulders down and back. Keep your heart lifted, but hug your ribs in. Start to rotate your palms to your thighs, weights in your heels, your knees are slightly bent. Inhale, shift forward, nice flat back. Exhale, rise, bicep curl. If the bicep curl feels like too much, don't do it. If the weights feel like too much, don't use them. You can just do a standing deadlift without any weights. Listen to your body, gauge what feels good to you, make sure you're breathing, and if you need to slow down the movement, that's totally fine. And use your breath to help guide you. Inhale, shift forward, exhale, bicep curl. We're halfway there, you're doing great. And if it feels like a lot on your hamstrings, that means you need to bend your knees a little bit more and just don't go as deep. So this is a full body workout, which means we're using pretty much all of our muscles. We're gonna elevate our heart rate here. We're really getting into it. But that doesn't mean we're overdoing it. It doesn't mean that we're trying to win an award. It just means that we're keeping our body strong and limber and flexible and confident all throughout our pregnancy. Last two. Last one. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. So we're doing 3 rounds, 2 exercises, and then we'll move to a next set of exercises shortly. So grabbing that one dumbbell, leaving the other aside. Hands on that dumbbell, nice and strong, super confident here. You're doing an awesome job. Weights in your heels, your knees are bent, moving into that 90-degree angle, or whatever feels good to you. Just make sure your knees are not going forward. They're going back. You're sitting way back, keeping your spine tall. Inhale, exhale. Remember that overhead press is optional, and if you're late along in your pregnancy, do not feel like you need to do it because it does stretch your abdominal wall. So if you feel any weird pinching or sharpness, don't do it. Booty back. Hug those glutes in. We're over the halfway mark. You're doing so great. How's your breathing? Where is your gaze? So you're on your 3rd round of this, 3rd and final round of this. Last 5. So you can just listen to me. For 3, focus on your form for 2. Last 1, awesome. Both weights. Stiff leg deadlift with a soft bend in your knees. Rotate your palms to face your thighs. Inhale, hinge forward, moving just below the knees. Exhale, bicep curl. I'll face you for this one. You got this. You should be able to wiggle your toes a little bit, keeping the weight in your heels, even as you stand up. So remember we talked about that relaxin and how it impacts your body and allows you to go maybe a little bit more limber than you're used to. Remember, we're not trying to push this, especially hamstrings, which tend to be really tight anyway. We don't want to overdo it on our hamstrings. So softening your knees as you go. Coming back to your breath. Last 4. You're here for 3. Just 2. And 1. Awesome, good. Okay. Setting your weights down. Take a little water break. I'm going to. Okay, so this next one involves a lunge. You have the option to use dumbbells again, and you have the option to not use dumbbells. Your call. I'm gonna use dumbbells. Okay, so this is a reverse lunge with a knee lift and a bicep curl. So if your biceps are like, whoa, 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 what? We just did bicep curl. Then you can completely omit the bicep curl, or you can do a single leg or a single dumbbell curl, your call, okay? So with one or both weights in your hands, starting at the top of your mat, we're gonna take our left leg back first. So stepping our right leg back, sink it down into a bicep or a lunge rather. Stand up, lift your knee. This is optional. Bicep curl. Step back, bicep curl. We're doing 10 on each side. So if this is too much, you can step it back, walk it in. Step it back, walk it in. Good. And now I'm doing a bicep curl at the bottom of the lunge. So you can do it at the top or the bottom for 2. Last one. Good. All right, switching sides. Taking our left leg back now. Good. Stepping it back. You can bicep curl here and move into that knee lift, or you can keep your arms straight, bicep curl at the top. The bicep curl at the top requires a little bit more balance, so it's up to you what feels best in your body. So when you're lunging, one thing to note, there's a lot going on in your pelvic floor right now, so maybe a more shallow lunge works best for you. That's fine. Just make sure wherever you are that you're on something grippy. Last 3. You're here for 2 and 1. Good. Okay, from there, we're gonna do some rows. So you have some options here. You can do a bent row like so with your back flat, or you can do a leg lift. So lifting one leg up and then rowing like so. We're gonna do single arm row either way. So if I'm just gonna keep my feet planted, I'll hinge forward. I'm gonna pull one arm in and row with just the right arm. So that's one option, or you can go a little deeper and row like so, okay? We're on 10 for the right and then 10 for the left. We're halfway there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep that one hugged in. Switch sides or lift. Good. Square your hips. Keep your chest lifted. You got this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Okay, going back to the top. So you can use weights or you can ditch them. If you're noticing your grip is feeling fatigued, that might mean you need to take a lighter set of weights or just not use the weights at all. So I'll try it out with some 5-pounders, see how that feels on my hands. That feels a little bit better. So starting with the right leg back, bring it down, bicep curl here, knee lift, or down, bicep curl at the top. 10 on this side. Chest is lifted. You're here for 5. Just 4. You got this for 3. So good for 2. And 1. Good. Switching sides. Left leg back. Sink it low. Lift it high. Remember, you do not have to do that knee lift. You can just walk your knee in, slide it in like that. Okay? Ooh, I'm off. There we go. Gaze is straight ahead. Focusing on your form. If you're near a mirror, that's great. Or a reflective sliding glass door. Something just to check in with your form is really good since I'm not there in person to help you. Last 2. Last 1. And release. Okay. Woo. Feeling good, eh? All right, moving into single arm row. All right. So, option to hinge and row like so, or single leg lift, your call. Hinging forward, starting with your right arm, rowing, your left arm is hugging in. Make sure that if your leg is lifted, you're not overdoing it and you're keeping your hips level, meaning your hip isn't rotated open. Just 4, 3, 2, 1. Switching sides. Hinge forward, both arms in, other leg lifts. Left leg this time, left arm is rowing. You got this. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, swap out those weights if you need to. Last round of this one, reverse lunge with a single leg lift, left leg back to start. Just like that. So when you're lifting your knee, I know it looks kind of funny in the video, but I'm going to hip height. I'm not going way up here, just hip height. Chest is lifted. Remember, I'm not waving my arms around. I'm very controlled. I've got 5. We're here for 4. Last 3. So good for 2. And 1. Awesome. Switching sides. Step back. Whoops, I got off again. So you can do it that way, but I'm trying to challenge myself a little bit. Listen to your body though. Hips stay level. I'm really firing up my back glute as I step back. That stabilizes the movement, lifting up through my pelvic floor for 3. Last 2. Last 1. And lower down. Okay. Last time through this bad boy. Oh, she's a doozy, guys. She is a doozy. All right. Okay, back into those single arm rows. Hinging forward, hugging both arms in, starting with your right leg and your right arm. 10 on each side. You got this. Keep your chest lifted. Hug your belly in. You're here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch sides. Hinge forward. Left leg lifts. Hips are square. You got this. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on back up. All right, moving into curtsy lunge. I love a good curtsy lunge. So this time you have 1 dumbbell. You're just gonna keep it in your chest. This is also optional, especially later on in your pregnancy when you have more of a belly. You already have a lot going on in your center of gravity. So for me, no belly, so I'm gonna grab that weight. But for you, it's your call. So curtsy lunge, it's like an alternating lunge. Draw your navel into your spine, lift up through your pelvic floor, hug your glutes in, and I'm just gonna alternate stepping back, but I'm stepping back at an angle. So if you're seeing it from the front, it looks like this. Little curtsy, okay? Like so. We're gonna do alternating 20. So we've done about 4. So 20 total, alternating right and left. This is another one of those movements where you're really working on firing up your glutes, keeping your chest lifted, your shoulders drawn down your back. You're not trying to go low, low, low to the ground. Maybe this is your curtsy lunge and you're not going all the way down. You don't ever actually want to touch your knee to the ground. We're just hovering it. Last 4. Just 3. You're here for 2 and 1. Good. From here, no weights, just body weight. Grab your chair for some tricep dips. So make sure your chair is positioned against the wall and you don't have any risk of sliding off. So my hands, I'll actually show you something real quick because I want to make sure you see my form. Okay, so my hands are going to be at the edge of my chair and my back is going to glide down right next to the chair. I'm not out here, okay? So knees are under or directly above my ankles, feet are hip width distance. I'm gonna go to 90 degrees. And my elbows are not splaying out, they're hugging in. My chest is lifted, we're doing 20. You got this. Gaze straight ahead. You're halfway there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So good for 2, 1. Good. Coming out of that. Okay, so you know the form for next time. All right, grab your weight. Back to that curtsy lunge. Remember, go to your depth, your comfort level. We're not trying to overdo it here. We're trying to do just the opposite. We're taking care of our body, keeping it strong, keeping it mobile, moving into that functional movement. So good. The weight is in your front heel, not your front toes, and you're squeezing, squeezing, squeezing your back glute. So that glute, that's helping control the movement. You don't want to splay your knee out or in. You're tracking it right over your ankle. 8 more to go. So good. Remember, you don't have to use the weight if you don't want to. Last 4. Just 3. So good for 2. And 1. Good. Weight down. Back to those tricep dips. So one thing, if you're really far along and that does not feel good in your body, you can do kickbacks instead, like so. Whatever weight works for you. I'm gonna stick with dips. You can also just not go as low. You don't have to go to that 90-degree bend if that doesn't feel good in your body. Walk your feet out, hip width distance. Heart is lifted. Hug your ribs in. Go low, press away from your ears. So my shoulders are not by my ears. I have a lot of distance between my ears and my shoulders. My neck is long. My gaze is straight ahead. You got this. You're here for 10, 9, 8. So good for 7. Just 6. Keep your back close to the chair. For 4, 3. You got it for 2, and 1. Good. Standing up, shaking out those wrists. Final movement here. Into that curtsy lunge. Hands are at your chest if you've got that weight. If not, arms by your side. Gaze straight ahead. Remember, you don't have to go really low in these curtsy lunges. We're getting into our inner thigh muscles, our gracilis, and also our pelvic floor. So make sure you're not overdoing it. Keep a little bit of a lift in your pelvic floor. Draw your shoulder blades down your back. Last 6. Just 5. So good for 4. You're here for 3. Last 2. And 1. All right. Last round of tricep dips. Okay. Or you can do kickbacks. Remember, you have those as your option. Feet hip width distance apart. This might be a lot on your wrist too. And if it is, grab your weights. Sink low, but keep your heart lifted, your shoulders away from your ears. Gaze straight ahead. Hug your elbows toward one another. You're halfway there. For 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome job. Good. Moving into that wrist stretch. So bring your arms out in front and your palms face your face like so. Just gently pull on your wrist to stretch the back of your wrist, switch sides. And then bring your arms down by your side. Take an overhead stretch. Grab onto one elbow, lean it away from that elbow, getting a side body stretch. You can go a little deeper by bringing your Opposite leg behind you. And release. Take a big overhead stretch to the other side. Nice side body stretch here. Option to step that leg back. And release. Take big arm circles up and back. And big arm circles forward. And then bring your hands behind you, interlace your knuckles, punch your knuckles down, lift your heart up. You can go deeper. We're getting into our shoulders now. If you want to hinge forward, if this does not feel good in your body, please do not do it. And slowly come on up. Release that grip. Good. And then from here, we're going to take a little hamstring stretch. So if you have a bench or a couch, or you can use your chair, I'm going to prop one leg up, keep my hips level with one another, flex my foot like so, and hinge my hips, or hinge from my hips rather, gliding forward down my leg. So this is pretty much as far as I can go without it feeling crazy, crazy tight. And that's where I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna bring a little softness into my knee, keep my heart lifted. I'm not trying to round my back like so. That's really not doing anything good for your body. It's more damaging than anything. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, see if you can go a tiny bit deeper. And then from here, rise up. Keep that same leg and kick your foot into your hand. So you might need a chair or a wall for stability. Please use it if you do. Just getting into our quads a little bit. And to go deeper into the stretch, I want you to tighten up your glute. Both glutes, but especially the one with the lifted leg. If you're a yogi and you want to go deeper and you want to start to hinge and kick, go for it. A little baby dancer pose. And then last stretch on this side, figure four. So you can do this on the ground. I'm going to stay standing. You can use a chair for stability. The point here is not to worry about how low you're going in your standing leg. It's about sticking your booty way, way, way out there. So you're getting into your piriformis, which is really deep in your glutes. It's hard to reach. And oftentimes that can get really tight during pregnancy because your body is trying to compensate for a little bit of redistributed weight in your abdominal area. So oftentimes our glutes get a little weak and other parts of our body compensate. Good, shake it out, switch sides. Back to that hamstring stretch. Flex your foot, hinge forward from your hips. Slide your hands down to where it feels comfortable. That's pretty much my stopping point. Not too impressive, but man, oh man, that feels good. Softening my knee. Take an inhale, lift your heart, exhale. See if you can fold just a touch deeper. Ooh, that feels so good. And then rise up. Go ahead and take your foot into your hand for a little quad stretch. And this requires a lot of balance. So finding a drishti, which is the point to gaze at that is not moving. So it can be a tree or a plant, but make sure it's not an animal or anything that can move. And then from there, maybe you take a little dancer's pose if that's in your practice. If not, that's okay. And then come on back up. Immediately go into your figure four. Remember, you can do it on the mat. I will show that to you in 1 minute. And I'm going to use a chair for stability or maybe just my balance, depending on how I'm feeling. The really important thing here is to flex your foot to protect your knee. And then rise. So if you were on the mat and you wanted to do that same stretch, just walk your feet out in front, take one ankle on top of the other thigh, keep your chest lifted. So this is better than lying on your back and threading the needle, only because later on in pregnancy you do not want to be on your back. That is contraindicated for various reasons, but you don't ever really want to lay on your back. You want to stay on your side, switching sides, like so. All right, and then from there, stand on up nice and slowly. Take an inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Exhale, bring your arms down. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. You are all done today. Awesome, awesome job. I'm so proud of you. Please know you can always reach out to me if you have questions, feedback, concerns. I'm here. Awesome. I'm so proud of you. High five.